In the midst of one of the most devastating wars in human history, an unexpected and remarkable event occurred. It was December 1914, just 5 months into World War I, and the Western Front was locked in a brutal stalemate. Soldiers from Britain, France, and Germany were stuck in trenches, facing each other across a deadly expanse known as no man's land. Day after day, the soldiers endured the horrors of trench warfare, gunfire, artillery barrages, and the bitter cold of winter. But as Christmas approached, something extraordinary began to unfold. On Christmas Eve, in the silence between the gunfire, British soldiers heard an unfamiliar sound drifting from the German trenches. It wasn't the sound of war, it was singing. German soldiers had begun to sing Still Not, or Silent Night. The haunting melody carried across no man's land, and soon, the British troops responded with carols of their own. For a moment, the sound of war was replaced by the sound of Christmas songs. Then, something even more surprising happened. Soldiers on both sides, driven by a shared sense of humanity, began to call out to each other across the battlefield. Shouts of Merry Christmas echoed in the cold night air. Slowly, cautiously, soldiers started to emerge from their trenches. They walked out into no man's land, not with rifles in hand, but with open arms, carrying small gifts. They met in the middle, shaking hands and exchanging whatever they had: cigarettes, chocolates, buttons, and even photographs of their loved ones back home, reminding them that the war had to continue. For these brief hours, the war seemed to fade away. The soldiers, who had briefly seen each other as fellow human beings, men who had been shooting at each other just the day before, were now standing together, talking, laughing, and sharing what little comfort they could. There are even stories of a football match being played between the two sides, with soldiers from opposing nations kicking a ball around in no man's land. In that moment, they were not enemies. They were simply men, united by the spirit of Christmas. But as the day drew to a close, the soldiers knew this fragile peace could not last. Officers on both sides began to recall their men to the trenches, reluctantly returned to their positions. The following day, the fighting resumed. The Christmas truce was over, and the war would rage on for another long years. The Christmas truce of 1914 stands as a unique and powerful moment in history. It was a rare glimpse of peace in the midst of unimaginable violence, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, our shared humanity can shine through. For those soldiers, Christmas Day brought a brief respite from the horrors of war, even in the most unlikely of places. Thank you so much for joining me on this historical journey. If you've enjoyed this video, share it with your friends. You'll help us continue to create more engaging and informative history videos. I hope you've enjoyed learning about our shared past as much as I have. And understanding our history is crucial for shaping our future. Thank you once again for your support, and I'll see you in the next video. And keep sharing your love for history with others. Keep exploring, keep learning.